And we're pleased to welcome now Kamel King, Director of the Office of Cultural Tourism at Visit Mississippi. Kamel, thanks for coming on.
No, thank you for inviting me. What an honor and pleasure.
Well, Visit Mississippi's got to be in high gear, pretty excited about the Cruise in the Coast event. We got Chamber of Commerce, weather, and a whole bunch of people are certainly in our state visiting Mississippi.
Yes, indeed. I mean, look at the mix. The weather is perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, the cars are out. The people are here. The spirit is bright. I mean, people are out here spending money, staying in rooms,
having a
enjoying
good time.
themselves, having a wonderful time.
That's the main thing.
Yes.
And the other thing I noticed is how respectful everybody is when you collect this number of people together and assemble them on one spot.
Yeah,
it's something to be said for that. It's the way we do it in America, in Mississippi.
You said it right there. Riding by, seeing all the families, the little kids, from babies all the way to teenagers, like fully engaged. It reminds me of old movies when families used to really get out, and so these are like beacons of light.
Yeah. It's a good event for that purpose, and we need more stuff like that.
Most certainly.
Yeah.
Most certainly.
It's good for our society, good for our country, good for our state. So I was just sharing some data that Representative Greg Haney passed on to me about the economic impact of tourism in the state of Mississippi. It is significant, but 2023, this report just released by the governor's office a few days ago, this report shows that 2023 was record-breaking for our state.
Yes, record-breaking. And I'd like to say, even to our governor's credit, tourism's credit, even during COVID, I mean, we really outperformed a lot of other states, in tourism because of all of our assets, our outdoor assets, our people, the way we were able to pivot and transition. But yes, 2023 record-breaking number, and I'm sure as Representative said, we're the fourth largest employer as far as a industry in the state. So when you think about it, it's not just people like me or my boss Rochelle Hicks or things of that nature. It's the people at hotels, the people at gas stations, the people who are on the grassroots, hand to hand. When people come in, the first impression that they get and feel the heartstrings of our state. And so you think about that, tourism is all over the place.
The report reflects that the total economic impact of tourism in Mississippi sustains 133,000 plus jobs, and that accounts for about $4.5 billion in job-related income. That's incredible. I mean, that's a lot.
Man, you can't imagine the tentacles that reaches to as far as communities. And, last year, 2023, $11.5 billion spent by tourists. That ends up turning into $17.5 billion once it regenerates. So, when that money is spent within our state, we see it grow and go out to all of the different other tributaries that tourism touches.
You guys do a fantastic job promoting our state for sure as a destination for tourists, but to some extent, it feels often, Kamel, that we're sort of a well-kept secret. But the more people come here and the more they enjoy it, the more they experience it, the word gets around. I'm thinking that may have been part of the reason for this increase in tourism over the last few years. I think the word's getting out.
I think you're right. And I think, like a project that we're on right here in this luxury RV resort, as the word is getting out, you see, the developers moving along with it. So we're growing in Mississippi in private and public sectors to absorb that tourism impact that's coming in. And we want that word to get out.
Yeah.
But we want to also maintain our core strings that make Mississippi the fine place that it is.
No doubt. Any particular needs that you feel like your office has that need to be communicated perhaps to our legislature, to the private sector, the business community to keep driving growth in tourism in our state? What are you guys kind of focused on for that purpose?
Well, I think just support. We get a lot of support from the people at the Capitol, and we appreciate that. All that support is excellent. And down to the grassroots community. When people come into your city, into your town, it doesn't matter if your little town has a population of 375 people. You may see somebody from Sweden there to look at a blues trail or country music trail, our freedom trail marker, embrace them, because that impact right there makes them stay an extra day, makes them come back for a week, makes them think about a vacation home, makes them think about where they're going to retire.
You know, the state, in terms of tourists and visitors that have various interests, we got something for everybody, from the coast to the capital and up into the foothills of the Appalachians and beautiful northeast Mississippi, everything, the Mississippi Delta, of course, everything in between. We got lots of attractions, lots of assets.
Yes. And I think even in interstate, we don't know as citizens a lot of times how much stuff we have.
You're right about that.
You know, how many different curated experiences there are, how deep our museum system is. Unbelievable. I mean, it can compete with anything else in the nation.
No doubt about it. And we were just talking earlier about the Mississippi Aquarium. That's a fantastic attraction as well. I can't believe it.
It's my first time going today. Can you believe that? I am so excited. I'm headed there after I leave here. I can't wait to report back.
You know, I got to give a shout-out to the Mississippi Armed Forces Museum in the heart, as you know, of Camp Shelby. That is something certainly every Mississippian, you talk about inside the state and destinations for people that just want to learn more about our state. That is an incredible facility, and it is a world-class museum that's fantastically curated, as you point out. We've done the show there many times. Also, the Grammy Museum.
Oh, my goodness.
How incredible is that place?
Incredible. I mean, we are the only other state outside of L.A., only other place in the world to have a Grammy Museum.
And that's something.
And that's to the credit of us really being the birthplace of America's music.
Absolutely.
And having more Grammy Award winners and nominees than 20-something states putting those together, and the Recording Academy recognizes that and invested in us, and the museum is doing great. I'm blessed to now be a part of the board of directors, and so that's a career plus. Awesome. I feel great about that.
And then, of course, right there in the center of the state, in downtown Jackson, we got two Mississippi museums: the Civil Rights Museum,
B. King Museum, the Maxim Meridian.
That's all fantastic.
It's crazy.
Yeah, we're so blessed. This big event here, the Cruise on the Coast, where we are, is considered by USA Today the top in its category in the country, right here.
And you know what? I embrace that because it's so well organized.
It is. Very well done.
I mean, you know, it's not a lack of anything to do. Shout out to Cruising Craig and the whole organization. I love him. And the whole organization that runs it. And we are proud to, get behind it. And, I mean, the impact that it has is felt, long after the event is over in a good way.
No doubt about it.
Not just money, but just in spirit.
So we've talked a lot about, again, these fabulous assets that are already inside our state that attract many tourists. Is there anything in particular that is perhaps in development that you're aware of from a tourist attraction perspective that you can talk about?
Well, I tell you, and I've got to credit Rochelle and the work of the Mississippi Humanities Council and the people who have worked on it far before then. But we are really embracing our civil rights history. With the with our Civil Rights Museum, which has just been record-breaking in numbers. Us having a Freedom Trail that has just been doing great, that is now a part of the U.S. Civil Rights Trail. We're really investing in that. But just in tourism alone, there are so many different avenues. And I love Rochelle. She's been there now a little over a year, and she is expanding our programs and has great vision along with the rest of the executive people at MDA. So, I mean, just the scope is just widening every day. So, yeah it's exciting times.
Well, you talked about the civil rights. Of course, I got to give a shout-out to my good friend Reuben Anderson, who was
judge.
The judge. Was not sure we'd have it without his efforts, honestly.
Yes, sir.
And perhaps the struggle was felt no more in any other state than it was in the state of Mississippi.
Yes.
And of course, we recognize this in the museum. We remember it, and we have an historical account of it. We've come a long way, though, hadn't we?
Long way. Long
We
way.
have to recognize that too, do we not?
And I think we do.
Yeah.
You know, I think in the narrative, we're taking control of the narrative versus the rest of the nation.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And that is, and I think, and it's a positive narrative, and it's a very honest narrative.
I agree. We need to remember and be fully aware and respectful of history, but we also got to recognize we've made a lot of progress, and I think the best is yet to come for us.
Oh, we are on our way, big time.
Kamel King, Director of Office of Cultural Tourism at Visit Mississippi, has been our guest. We thank you for coming on.
No, I thank you. And look, like I told you, you are smooth. I love you. Look, you are awesome.
I appreciate that, Kamel. Thanks a lot, man. Folks, we're taking a break right now. Coming back with Senator Jeremy England.